When you come to Grobnik, treat yourself to an experience you will remember. Enjoy the luxurious ambience. Experience superior service. Indulge in endless pleasures. The pearl of the tourism offer in the pearl of the Adriatic. Liburnia, Hotels and Villas.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's time. It's the season finale, the double points decider of both NASCAR Whelen Euro Series categories, EuroNASCAR Pro and EuroNASCAR 2. And what better place to do it than the Automotodrom Grobnik, the home of the NASCAR GP Croatia. This is an event that always brings us exciting action. This is a circuit that's ideally suited to the EuroNASCAR machinery. I believe we can take a closer look at the circuit by the way of track map, but what you can see there on your screen, and here is the track map, what you can see here is that this is a circuit. Well, this is Czech Republic, actually. This is Most. But the circuit of Grobnik, the Automotodrom Grobnik, is a fast and flowing circuit, probably the fastest circuit on the calendar, as alluded to by Alan Day on the YouTube channel. Again, this is a shot of Most, so don't take too much from this. However, the Automotodrom Grobnik, actually quite similar in profile. It's also very long and slender as a racing circuit, albeit with fewer slow sections, fewer deep braking zones, but still overtaking is quite a common occurrence here. And you see we've got the most lovely backdrop for this race as well. The scenes here at Croatia are always stunning. Of course, our format for this weekend, while double points are on the line, the format has not changed. We've got 2 qualifying sessions coming up right now, as well as a Super Bowl session for EuroNASCAR Pro. Then today we have 2 races. 2 more races to come. The season deciders tomorrow as well. But for now, we go down to the pits with Andre Viegold and Vladimir Siotzis.
Thank you so much, Adam. Yes, I'm here with the fastest driver of EuroNASCAR 2 yesterday in free practice, Vladimir Siotzis. You had a violent crash at Zolder. It healed very good, so you're back for the finals. What are your goals?
Yeah, my goal is to keep up the consistency that we showed yesterday, all the day. It was a good day. As I mentioned yesterday, also with the short interview that we had, I want this weekend to be mine, and I will try my best to keep up the good speed, also for the races. Yes, and let's finish the season in the perfect way.
Adam, our commentator, said it's a track where it's really hard to overtake. So how crucial will it be to have a good qualifying position?
Yeah, it's very crucial, as most of the tracks, you know. Also a good start at the beginning, and then keep the consistency. It will be the key for this weekend, I think, for all the drivers that aim for the front row.
All right, thank you so much and good luck.
Thank you.
It's Vladimir Siotzis then. As Andre alluded to, one of the quickest drivers, if not the quickest driver in EuroNASCAR 2. The Cypriot racer, though, on 250 points coming into this weekend's season decider. Of course, there are in excess of 160 points on the line, more than 160 points if you take into account the points for most overtakes in a race. So he's starting 56 points back. He's still certainly within mathematical contention. Alberto Nasca leading the EuroNASCAR 2 championship on 306. But you have to say that Vladimir Siotzis has an outside shot now at the championship. Here is the points allocation for this weekend. You can see that just to the right of screen, so 80 points as opposed to 40 for a win, a gulf of 10 points between victory score and second place, and it goes down by 2 from 70 downwards until you get to 36th place, where you would score just 2 points, and 8 points for the most overtakes today as well. So lots of opportunities to net some points today for the drivers, and of course tomorrow here in Croatia. And both championships are remarkably close. Alberto Nasca and Liam Hazelman's just 13 points apart at the top of the EuroNASCAR 2 standings. And it really is a three-way battle in EuroNASCAR Pro, but more on that in a moment.
I'm now here right now with Twan Hazelmans, a true racing legends, but two of your sons. One was very successful in EuroNASCAR, Loris Hazelmans, two-time EuroNASCAR champion, and now Liam Hazelmans battling for the EuroNASCAR 2 championship. How happy are you that your guys are so fast?
Very happy because, of course, they all come from, the last one comes from karting, and he stepped from a 140 kilo kart into a 1200 kilo car, and immediately he was fast. So very happy about it, of course. Yeah.
You're also the mastermind behind the team Hazelberg, driving in the NASCAR Cup Series with Loris going there. How was the first year over there in the United States?
Very tough. It's the problem in America is you can't test. You are not allowed to test. So you have to set up the car. And whether it's good or bad, you can't touch it anymore. So it's very, very hard. It's they have to change the rules, otherwise there's no way we can have success.
All right, thank you so much for the insights. Twan Hazelmans, dank je wel. And tot ziens.
Tot ziens.
How great to hear from Twan Hazelmans. As Andre rightly said, an absolute legend of motorsport in his own right. And the father to three of the quickest drivers to have come out of Dutch tin top racing in the last 2 or 3 decades. Back to the championship implications, though. We've mentioned that EuroNASCAR 2 has Liam Hazelmans as part of the championship battle. It's a three-way scrap, at least initially, in EuroNASCAR Pro, with Alain Day, Gianmarco Ercoli and Alexander Graf split by just 8 points. Therefore, if any of those three win today, they'll be at the top of the championship. But Andre Vigold is doing a great job herding drivers and team members. So let's go back down to him.
Guest in the interview area here in EuroNASCAR, Alina Leutnegger, driver of the EuroNASCAR 2. You had a lot of fun yesterday evening in the pit box with Racing Fuel Motorsports, right?
Yes, I have always fun. No, it was really funny yesterday night. But yeah, today focus on the quali and on the race. I love the track really, and yeah, so I hope a good result.
Lily Del Castello is way ahead in the Lady Trophy standings, but everything can happen with double points on the line. Are you still aiming to win the Lady Trophy?
Yeah, I want to win the Ladies Trophy, so I will fight for it. But yeah, we will see.
All right. Dankeschön und viel Glück.
Danke. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Back to Adam.
There is Alina then. She'll be working hard to try and, as we mentioned there, try and beat Lily Del Castello within the Lady Trophy category. But yeah, Day, Ercoli and Graf, 8 points apart. They are going to be fighting it out in EuroNASCAR Pro. And of course, with double points on the line, there are a huge number of drivers that are still officially within mathematical contention. If you want to be exact, the true number of drivers that are in mathematical contention is 27, although that would require, for 27th place driver Alia Koluk, that would require quite a lot to happen to those around her. In fact, I think it would be more than that because Alia isn't on the entry list this weekend. But nonetheless, let's go down to Andre.
We crowned already a champion yesterday, the Club Challenge champion, the regularity test in EuroNASCAR, and it's Gordon Barnes for the second time. How happy are you after it's synced in?
Very happy, really, yeah. It's been a difficult year. The competition this year has been really, really very strong. We've had a few problems as well, so to actually come out on top and then waking up this morning and letting it all just sink in, it's a great feeling. 2 years in a row.
It was 1 point, and just tell us how close it was in timing in the final sessions.
I think we're talking, it was about 0.05 of a second in terms of total penalties between myself and Neo Lambert. And the first session was like not even a tenth. We're between us. So it's close in the points, and yesterday was close in both sessions as well. Yeah.
So, if you want to race against Gordon Barnes in the Club Challenge, this is the perfect way to step into the world of EuroNASCAR in a, let's say, regularity test environment. Do you think it's a good way to get used to those cars?
I think so, yeah. It's a different type of competition to the straight race. It's also a very friendly sort of competition that you can laugh and joke with your competitors in the Club Challenge. It's great. It's a great way to learn the cars, to get some experience, and to learn the tracks as well.
All right, thank you so much, and congratulations again.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
There you go. Great to hear from Gordon Barnes, as alluded to already, the champion in the NASCAR Club Challenge, the EuroNASCAR Club Challenge, the regularity format that we run on Fridays. Gordon, incidentally, the driver of the 48 car. Now, normally, on Saturday and Sunday, the 48 car would be the domain of Yevgen Sokolovsky. However, he's handed over to two teammates from another series. Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser will be splitting the 48 Marco Stipp Motorsport car this weekend. They race for Pro Sport in the ADAC GT4 Championship, as does Yevgen Sokolovsky. So that's where the deal was made. And those two, last week at Hockenheim, actually won at the ADAC GT4 Championship. So Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser will be taking to EuroNASCAR very different machines than either competitor has ever driven previously. Mike David Ortman will be running in EuroNASCAR Pro. Hugo Sasser will be running in EuroNASCAR 2. I know for certain that in the case of Hugo Sasser, he has never driven a race car with a manual gearbox before. So that young racer at 18 years old is going on a bit of a learning curve. Mike David Ortman has a little bit more experience. He's a driver who has competed in the likes of ADAC GT Masters, has scored podiums in the International German GT Championship. However, entirely new challenge for both of them in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and we'll have to see how they adapt. Certainly both drivers look competitive at various points in Friday's free practice. So that's 1 point of interest. We've got another couple of drivers in EuroNASCAR 2 who are non-championship entries, who are here as guests. We have Thomas Toffel, the Swiss racer. He's taking to the 18 car in EuroNASCAR 2, so he'll be sharing that with Giorgio Maggi, who is very much a championship contender in EuroNASCAR Pro. Meanwhile, Zoran Kastratovic, the Serbian racer, will be driving for Not Only Motorsport in car number 36. Those two, along with Hugo Sasser, all not contenders in the championship. They're non-championship entries, thus they won't damage the point situation at all. However, of course, any car on the circuit does have the potential to get involved with the championship battle one way or another with an inopportune moment of contact or drama. I know for a fact that Ortman and Sasser, while they're looking to have fun this weekend, I got to speak to them in the Hockenheim paddock last weekend, incidentally, about EuroNASCAR. That's all we spoke about, actually. They were quite excited about coming to Croatia. And they said, look, we're fighting for a championship ourselves. We know what it's like. The last thing we'd want to do is be platooned off the circuit by someone who isn't in the championship proceedings. And I think they enter this weekend with that firmly in mind. They're going to push, yes. Both drivers with something to prove, particularly young Hugo Sasser at such a tender age competing. I believe Mark David Ortman is slightly older at 22 years old, and of course has had a few more opportunities at high levels. But for Hugo Sasser, this is one of the biggest stages he has been on, and he's going to work hard to try and prove himself. So then, less than 3 minutes until the green flies for qualifying. It will be the 20-minute qualifying, of course, as is standard. And there you see the car that would normally be filled by Yevgen Sokolovsky. A word for Yevgen as well, actually, because he is competing rather humbly, or rather nobly. He is representing his home nation. He is representing them at the FIA Motorsport Games this weekend, along with Ivan Pelkin or Ivan Peklin, I should say. And those two then doing a great job at the moment out at Paul Ricard, representing Ukraine. I know that a lot of people are getting behind that endeavour. So yes, no Yevgen Sokolovsky this weekend, but we're all cheering him on from here in Grobnik as he fights for Ukraine, with Pro Sport actually, in fact. So he's with his team from the ADAC GT4 Championship in a GT3 car this weekend. So we'll see what lessons he can carry over there from these EuroNASCAR machines. So then we are on the verge of getting this race, or this qualifying session, I should say, underway. It will be the EuroNASCAR Pro cars out first for their qualifying, and then subsequently their Super Pole session. And then we'll have EuroNASCAR 2 qualifying shortly thereafter. We've mentioned the championship battle. 8 points between Alan Day, Gianmarco Ercoli and Alexander Graf, with Alan Day in the lead by all of 6 points right now, which is basically nothing in the grand schemes of our double point season decider. Nikola Rokia fourth in the standings, 21 back. You could definitely say that he's still in it. The same applies to Giorgio Maggi as well in fifth place. Giorgio only 26 back, and with 160 points on the board. A few dramas for some of those around him, and he could be a factor as well. Again, if you go on mathematical contendership, there are a lot of cars that could still win the championship. But I think realistically, it's between the top 5, perhaps the top 7, if you want to factor in Martin Dubeck and Sebastian Blekemolen as well. But most of the smart money is on one of the 3 cars at the sharp end, that 24 car of Alan Day. Alan Day back in the 24, back with PK Carsport after his adventure last time out with Speedhouse. So Speedhouse guesting him in the number 40 car at Zolder, and he scored a couple of more points as a result of that run, so it was definitely worthwhile for him. Gianmarco Ercoli, 6 points back, and Alexander Graf. Those are the 3 cars that everyone's wise money is on in the championship. But could that picture change in qualifying? It's EuroNASCAR Pro qualifying. It begins now, and it's going to be 20 minutes of qualification. Got a slightly different timing screen than we do normally, so it's going to be a bit of an adventure making sure we've got everything right here. But it is a 15, I should say, minute session, 14 minutes to go in this session. There you see the 14 car of Mark Goossens heading out. I mentioned this circuit is difficult for overtaking. Of course, that is by virtue of the fact that so many of these corners are either very quick indeed, or at least mid-speed, so that series of bright spots throughout the year, albeit things haven't always gone absolutely to plan. Federico Monti there we saw in the number 2 as well. He'll be looking to finish his season on a strong note. There is Monty through the first couple of corners. Very technical layout here, and as you can see, lots of positive camber as well, so it's almost the closest thing, aside from perhaps Brands Hatch, that we get to an oval across the season. With this many high camber, positive camber corners, there certainly are lots of opportunities to carry speed if you're brave enough. I've spoken to a few drivers that have driven at Grobnik, not all necessarily within EuroNASCAR, but they've all said, you know what, you go there, perhaps thinking, well, it's not as famous a circuit as some of the other places I've been to, but you leave thinking, wow, what a circuit that is. And certainly it's an unsung venue among the pantheon of European motor racing circuits. And it's great that we get to spotlight just how good of a facility this is here in the EuroNASCAR with the season decider, the NASCAR GP of Grobnik, or the NASCAR GP of Croatia, here at Grobnik, the Automotodrom Grobnik, of course a former World Championship motorcycle racing facility, but still a circuit that packs a mighty punch, a circuit that a lot of people love to race at. First flying laps are coming in then, Roman Iannetta on top for now, but still very much early doors. We'll see how the timing screen evolves as this session progresses. The fastest time so far for Iannetta, a 1:32.169, just 3 thousandths up on Henri Tuamala. There is the 54 car, and that is, of course, one of our primary championship challengers in the form of Gianmarco Ercoli. So Gianmarco Ercoli in the distinctive pink 54 from the Cal Racing stable. Keep an eye on his progress within this session. So they're in the 132s right now. They got as low as the 128s in free practice, so to say there's more to come, I think, is most likely an understatement. Alan Day is just coming across the line, so I'm sure he is going to lower the bar significantly this time through. Just crossed the line, and what is his time? It's 1:29.424, so yes, lower the bar he did. Gianmarco Ercoli goes second on a 1:31.255, although that's immediately demoted courtesy of a time from Fabrizio Armetta. And again, in these early stages of this 15-minute qualifying session, you can expect everything to be in flux. Alan Day currently at the top of the order. He's settled back into that PK Car Sport entry magnificently after a brief voyage away with Speedhouse last time out at Zolder. Of course, last time out at Zolder, we saw Anthony Kumpen returning to racing. And we understand, as Gianmarco Ercoli has a big moment there and narrowly avoids the tyre barriers on the outside of the corner there. But we understand that Anthony Kumpen, we have not seen the last of him within a EuroNASCAR, to say the least. So then, fast laps still coming in, and it's still Alan Day at the top, but we've got a long way to go, and we're a bit away from the fast times in free practice as well. So let's see if anyone has what it takes to knock off Alan Day this time by. There is a 56 car, and of course driven by Nicolo Rocca, who sits fourth in the championship right now. He would love dearly to be on the front row of the grid. That would be a great position for him to try and challenge. Sebastian Bleekemolen has just gone quicker than anyone with a 1:29.339, and simultaneously I know that Alan Day has just had a slower lap, actually, a 1:31.940, so not quite the time we'd expect of him, but Nicolo Rocca goes top on a 1:29.076, so that time that we just saw him complete is a very strong lap indeed, a 1:29.076. I would say that's good enough for the first 2 rows of the grid potentially, but let's see what everyone else can do. Great to see Sebastian Bleekemolen up there. Patrick Lemarie has also gone third fastest in the Team FJ bodied car, the EuroNASCAR Team FJ machine that he shares with Vladimiros Tsiotsis. There's the 64 machine, which is down in 16th right now. So Alexander Graf, his best time, a 1:30.678. But we'd expect better from Graf normally, and frankly, this weekend, he needs better. With it being a championship decider, he needs every point he can get. to try and win the championship for Speedhouse. He already claimed their first win, of course, back at Brands Hatch in June, and he would dearly love to get a championship trophy on the mantle, but that's going to be a difficult task from 16th on the grid. So let's see if he can work his way up in the 64 Mustang. Great to hear the sound of those small block V8 motors. At 400 brake horsepower, they have quite a long shelf life. They'll last you a long time, which is one of many reasons that the EuroNASCAR series is very cost effective indeed. Let's see what kind of time we got there out of the 14 of Mark Goossens. That was 8th fastest. What kind of time did we get out of the 64 of Alexander Graf? Well, it was a slight improvement. He's just crossed the line, in fact. Where has he ended up on the timing screens now? He's down in 18th place, so still not really finding the magic right now. Alan Day improved himself to 2nd place on the previous lap, a 129.123. Let's see how he can do on this lap. He was less than half a tenth back from pole, or at least provisional pole, in the hands of Nicola Roca. Of course, it is very much provisional because we've got the Super Pole session after this for EuroNASCAR Pro, so this really only determines which 10 cars will make it through into the Super Pole shootout after this. However, still bragging rights that he had for topping this session, I'm sure of that. And there you can see Alan Day pressing on. Although it looks like he might be pit bound. Yes, he is. Okay, so he, I imagine, thinks he's done enough to secure his spot in the top 10 shootout. Now let's see if that bold strategy pays off, Cotton. Liam Hazeman's across the line, 4th fastest there, just behind Gianmarco Ercoli. Both Ercoli and Hazeman's have improved on that time by. Ercoli with a 129.144 puts him 3rd fastest and just a few hundredths back from Alan Day. Meanwhile, Liam Hazeman's 4th fastest, making use of that tow potentially from Gianmarco Ercoli. Of course, these cars, they do generate a little bit of downforce, but not a lot. Therefore, having a tow is a little more useful than it would be in a contemporary GT car. I wonder if that tow is helping Hazeman's right now. Patrick Lemarie has moved up to 3rd fastest. The top 4, as you can see on the left of your screen on the graphic, are currently split by less than 700ths of a second, 0.068 between the top 4 right now. If you ever need evidence that EuroNASCAR is a close run thing, the EuroNASCAR Pro drivers are seemingly out there to prove it right now. We're still yet to see the best out of Alexander Graf. He's moved up to 16th place with a 130.255, but critically, as it stands, he would be the only one of the big 3 in the championship that won't progress to the Super Pole session. Super Pole cutoff is 10th place. Ivan Capelli on a 129.752, so Graf needs to find about half a second. There's the 48 car in the hands of Mike David Ortman. Now, how's Ortman doing? He's all the way down in 20th place right now on a 130.939. But he has some time to find, to put it gently, proof in case we need it, that these cars are very special, very specialist machines, and you really need to know your way around them to find the optimum. Mike David Ortman, along with Hugo Sasser, claimed the ADAC GT4 Germany Championship last week at Hockenheim. And now he is sitting down in 20th place in this EuroNASCAR Pro qualifying session, but could the best be yet to come? In the case of both drivers, they're learning and improving lap on lap on lap, owing to the fact that they've had such limited seat time in this car, which Yevgen Sokolovsky threw them the keys to for this weekend. There's the 23, still being driven very quickly indeed by Henri Tuamala. He's down in 15th, so it's unlikely by the looks of it that he is going to be a factor in the top 10 shootout. Both Nicolo Rocca and Alan Day have decided that they've done enough. In fact, everyone in the top 5 has withdrawn to the pit lane. So Nicolo Rocca, Alan Day, Patrick Lemarie, Gianmarco Ercoli and Liam Hazeman have all made the decision that they have done enough. In fact, 7 of the top 10 have made that same decision and are currently in the pit lane awaiting the results of this session. So can anyone challenge in the late going? We saw there Henri Tuamala clearly pushing. He locked up just a few corners back. We enter the final 2 minutes with Tuamala bearing down on the start-finish line. He will, in theory, get one more lap at the start-finish line to have another shot. That's if he wants it. '46 car of Romain Iannetta down in 13th place. Iannetta, who is often a factor in the top 10 shootout, it doesn't look like anything is too amiss there. So the 46 in those days of thunder colours, running nicely right now. Ex-Le Mans 24-hour competitor Romain Iannetta, one of the most experienced drivers anywhere in the EuroNASCAR paddock. And he runs down in 13th for now, but let's see if he can make it into the top 10 shootout. I think he's going to get one more lap after this one to try and make his way in if he wants to. It does seem like a lot of drivers feel they've done what they can do. That includes Patrick Lemery, who sits in the pit lane right now. 20 seconds of this session left to go then. '55 car of Armetta, who was very competitive and very impressive last time out at Zolder. Now, where's he on the timing screens right now? He's down in 18th place. Let's see if Armetta can make any improvements. Mike David Ortman has improved. 19th fastest right now, and he's on his final attempt at a flying lap. So Mike David Ortman, 1:30.806 is his best time. We'll see if he can do a wonder lap at the very end to try and make his way into the Super Pole. He'd need to find a second in order to be part of Super Pole, and a second he has not found, I believe. Just waiting for the timing screen to update us. You see the checkered flag is out on the session. I believe actually that Mike David Ortman might have headed into pit lane because the time has not come through on our timing screens. So then it's currently Claudio Remeggio Capelli at the top of the order in the 16 car, or rather, sorry, in 10th place in the 16th car. He is the benchmark for anyone to make it through into this Super Pole session that follows. 1:29.752 is the fastest time. And no improvement there, or at least not a significant improvement for Fabrizio Armetta. He crosses the line and remains in 18th place. Is anyone left to potentially challenge? Frédéric Gabillon is on a quick lap. Let's see if Gabillon can potentially improve. He has improved. He's moved himself up to 11th place according to the timing screen. But I don't think he has done enough to move to Claudio Remeggio Capelli. In fact, it looks like his fastest time was half a second quicker. So yeah, Frédéric Gabillon didn't quite go fast enough to make it into Super Pole. That means then that it will be Nicolo Rocca, Alon Day, Patrick Lemery, Gianmarco Ercoli, Liam Hasemans, Vittorio Gorelli, Sebastian Blakemon, Giorgio Maggi, Mark Gusens and Claudio Remeggio Capelli that try to make it to pole position in the 5-minute Super Pole session that follows. Just 5 minutes of running, very little time to set a quick lap, so the pressure will be on, and this is a circuit that bites you if you succumb to the pressure. So it should be a very compelling Super Pole session between those 10 drivers. We got a brief look at Maximilian Lanza in the 88 car. Of course, he is sharing with Alberto Nasca. So we'll no doubt see that car towards the sharp end of EuroNASCAR 2 in a few moments. But Lanza end up 21st in that session. There you see Martin Dubeck coming into pit lane, one of the championship contending drivers, down in 15th place in that session. And we talked about Alexander Graf. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. He remained 16th fastest. He never quite found the time he needed in this session. So Alexander Graf will not be a part of the Superpole session. Now, we heard it from Alan Day at Zolder in qualifying that he was trying for the bonus points. He was kind of driving around a little bit idly in order to secure bonus points for overtakes. I do wonder whether Alexander Graf is trying to pull that strategy, but I will say it's a bold strategy if that is what he's trying to do, because this is a circuit where overtaking is difficult, certainly very possible. We do see lots of action-packed racing, but this isn't a circuit with lots of deep braking zones. It's not a circuit where I'd want to be starting in the mid-pack. But I am not a racing driver for many a reason. Nervous disposition is one of them. Alexander Graf then, starting from 16th place, if he is going for those 8 bonus points for most overtakes, then again, I tip my hat to him and say, brave man. But something tells me that the car just isn't hooked up this morning, more so than any deliberate thoughts or play from Alexander Graf. Graf, I think, would much rather be at the sharp end, and he's not there. He's only 1.2 seconds off the sharp end, incidentally, but that is more than enough to be well down the order in such a competitive grid. The top 13 cars split by 3/4 of a second in that session. The top 20 well within 2 seconds. So at the sharp end of the order, of course, it's even closer than that. The top 6 are split by 1.5 tenths. The top 4 by barely 3/4 of a tenth. But it's Nicolo Rocca who has set the benchmark so far in this session. And a great little insight there, a good pointing out from Gianluca in the media centre, who says that Nicolo Rocca only did 3 laps. Quite right. 2 laps fewer than Ercole and Day. So Nicolo Rocca got himself to the top in just 3 laps, which is a supreme showing of confidence, if nothing else. So then, we await the return of drivers to circuit for Superpole. You saw the cars trundling down towards the red lights, and no surprises that Nicolo Rocca is the man at the sharp end. He'll be pressing on here in the Superpole session. Just 5 minutes to determine who will be on pole position. Mark Goossens, who we just saw leaving shot there to go and join them down in pit lane. He set more laps than anyone in that session. 9 laps for Mark Goossens. Frédéric Gabillon also did 9. As did some of the others outside of the top 10. But in terms of those in this Superpole session, Mark Goossens has put the most mileage on his car with 9 laps to try and secure a quicker time. He ends up 9th fastest. He ends up in the Superpole, as does everyone we now see on the circuit. It's top 10 Superpole time in EuroNASCAR Pro. This, I remind you, is exclusive to EuroNASCAR Pro. The 5-minute Superpole session is not a factor in EuroNASCAR 2. So then, let's see what Nicolo Rocca can do. Can he hold on to this pole position? The board is effectively wiped clean now for this Superpole session. And we'll have to see exactly what they can do. The session is green with 4 minutes left to go. They're going to get potentially 3 laps of running here in terms of quick times. Consider the lap time is a 1:30. I think some of them are going to get 3 attempts and some of them are going to get 2. Depending mostly on how quickly they've done their outlap. Certainly you can tell that this car, the 56 of Nicola Roca, is not hanging around. The body language of the car on that lap tells a story. It's a story of a man who's pressing on as he crosses the line to start his flying lap. He's got, I believe that's Alan Day there second. Yes, Alan Day second across the line. And Patrick Lemery behind him. So let's see what everyone can do. Alan Day, full commitment into the first couple of apexes of the lap there. You saw the car squirreling underneath him. He's giving it the full beans now. Our championship leader coming into this one by just 6 points. Certainly not a guarantee that he wins yet another EuroNASCAR championship, a third EuroNASCAR championship. By no means is it a guarantee. Alan Day, arguably the best EuroNASCAR driver of the last few years, up there with Loris Hazeman's. He's got some seriously strong competition this weekend, as he has done all season. Watching these cars go around this Grobnik circuit really is almost artistry, with the number of banked positive camber corners. They really can throw the cars into the turns. And it is a joy to see just how far they can push it around the corners. There is Alan Day then, just a few corners from home on his first flying lap. Nicola Roca is up ahead. Let's see what kind of times we get out of everyone on the first pass. Roca with a 1:29.479. What about Alan Day? What's he got in the bank? A 1:28.884. That's the benchmark of all benchmarks. Surely that's going to be difficult to beat. Patrick Lemery with a 1:28.955. He goes within a tenth of that time. Hazeman's crosses the line on a 1:29.372. Gorelli pretty quick there. He goes up to third place on a 1:29.332, just ahead of this man, Gianmarco Ercoli. Times continue to shuffle in then, but it's pretty clear that Alan Day has just made a statement crossing the line there. Now, a few of these drivers, as I mentioned, are only going to get 2 opportunities at a quick lap. I believe that Goossens, Blake Molan, Giorgio Maggi and Claudio Remeggio Capelli are all only going to get 1 more flying lap, whereas these drivers towards the front of the queue are all going to get another opportunity at the end of this lap. So Ercoli, you can see that he's pressing through the S-bends here. Right into left, into right, into left. The circuit really keeps you on your toes. There's the number 5 car of Patrick Lemery to be taken over later on by Vladimiros Stiotzis, a driver who will have lots of home support from Cyprus in EuroNASCAR 2 later on. But Patrick Lemery pressing on for now. Alan Day is going to cross the line though. Let's see what kind of time he puts in. His benchmark, a 1:28.884. Can he compound the efforts of everyone else with an even quicker time? Not quite. A 1:28.933 that time by. Gianmarco Ercoli improves slightly to go third fastest on a 1:29.109. The time is ticking down to 0 now. And I believe it is indeed Goossens, Blake Molan, Maggi and Capelli that are not getting another flying lap in. Can Goossens improve on his last time by? No. Blake Molan, Capelli still going around the circuit at the moment. Let's see if either of them can improve before they get to the checkered flag. They're both 9th and 10th place respectively. Blake Molan does improve. He goes 6th fastest on a 1:29.440, so that's a good time out of Sebastian Blake Molan. He goes 6th fastest then. Third row could be guaranteed here unless Nicola Roca can find something special. Nicola Roca, who topped the qualifying session, is currently 7th fastest in this Super Pole. Not the result he would have expected or wanted. Let's see if anyone can improve. Can anyone best Alan Day? It's this man, Patrick Lemery, who is within touching distance of Alan Day, just under 3/4 of a tenth back from the fastest time. But Alan Day there, slowing down. He got out of the way as best he could, but Patrick Lemery may have been slightly compromised there by a matter of a few hundredths of a second, and a few hundredths of a second is exactly what Lemery needed. And that time, a 1:29.423. was his slowest lap of the Super Bowl session, and I just wonder whether that's going to be looked into at all. Vittorio Girelli, fourth fastest, he crosses the line to secure himself fourth place, and Alan Day has also crossed the line for the final time. So then it is Alan Day on a 1:28.884 who goes fastest. Patrick Lemery second fastest in that Super Bowl session. Coley and Girelli on row 2 then for the race. Liam Hazeman's 5th and Sebastian Blakemolen alongside him in 6th. A row of Dutch racing legends, at least in terms of last names there. Of course, Liam Hazeman's not quite a legend yet, but he's well on his way. Nicolo Rocca in 7th place after being on provisional pole coming out of the main qualifying session. He ends up down in 7th. Mark Goossens 8th, ahead of Giorgio Maggi and Claudio Remigio Capelli. The top 10 in that session split by 1.4 seconds. Capelli did not get a good lap in at all in the 16 car. But nonetheless, we must tip our hats to Alan Day. Did exactly what he needed to do, exactly what he will have wanted to do coming into this race, and that is secure pole position. That is secure himself a good strong starting place for the race to come, and he will be pressing on from the head of the order. Our championship leader, 6 points clear of Gianmarco Ercole. He's got Ercole behind him on row 2, and we've seen fireworks between those two drivers on several occasions this year, so I'm very excited by the fact that they're so close together. And then, of course, Alexander Graf, who is 3rd in the championship, just 8 points back from Alan Day in the lead. Well, unfortunately, he's going to start way down on the 8th row of the grid, so there's going to be lots of drama, lots to contend with in terms of the championship battle in EuroNASCAR Pro today. Can Patrick Lemery be the spoiler for the two championship contenders around him? Of course, every championship position still very much in play, so you best believe that everyone who can score championship points will be working hard to do just that. In other words, I don't expect Patrick Lemery to make it easy, and that's putting it gently. Vittorio Girelli continues a strong run of form with that 4th place in that session. Girelli had a nightmarish start to the year. You may remember him involved in accidents at Brands and Valencia before that. However, he's really come on strong here at Croatia and indeed Zolder earlier in October. We're finally starting to see some of the potential of the combination of Vittorio Girelli and Not Only Motorsports. He finds himself towards the sharp end for the 2nd weekend in a row. Of course, in the case of Liam Hazeman's, he will be back out there for EuroNASCAR 2 qualifying, which is starting in just a few moments' time. So he's got plenty of mileage already. He knows his way around the car and around the circuit this morning, for sure. If he needed any coffee to wake himself up, I'm sure the V8 has been just as useful in that endeavour. Of course, the main man, the championship leader coming into this weekend in EuroNASCAR 2 is Alberto Nasca, the YouTube sensation, the rookie driver who has taken EuroNASCAR 2 by storm this year. 5 wins, 9 top 10s and 9 top 5s. He has very scarcely been outside the top 10 this year. He had some misfortunes at Zolder. Before that, I believe 5th place was his worst finish of the year. So Alberto Nasca has been commanding this season. But nonetheless, with a poor performance at Zolder and a good performance from Liam Hazeman's, we have a scenario now where there are just 13 points between Nasca and Hazeman's. You have to say that those two are the championship favourites, though. Martin Dubeck, 50 points back in 3rd on 256. So 50 points to score. There are still 160 points plus up for grabs. And in fact, the total is 176 points up for grabs. We'll see what he can do in EuroNASCAR 2. But for now, to EuroNASCAR Pro and our pole sitter in the form of Alan Day.
Thank you so much. I don't know, I didn't count how many pole awards you already won in your career in EuroNASCAR, but this may be a very important one on your journey to grab the 4th title.
I don't count the pole position. I don't count how many championships I have now. I only focus on the race. I'm extremely happy. The team worked really hard all night long to find the problem that we had yesterday. And obviously they did an amazing job, PK Car Sports. I'm out of breath, you know. That was tough qualifying. but I'm really happy we did it, and hopefully we can grab the win. And yeah, and let's talk after the race, because all I'm focused about is the race right now, and I don't think about not pole position. I don't have the time to be happy. So again, thanks a lot to my team and everybody that works really hard, and let's finish the job.
Right, I'll let you keep the focus there, and congratulations, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have the time to be happy. There's a grim reflection upon championship mindset. Of course, I apologise to Alan Day. I said he was going for his third championship this weekend. It is, of course, his fourth championship. Serves me right for naming a statistic while not looking at my notes. But Alan Day, of course, a wildly successful driver, and he'll be looking to net a victory today. Let's go back down to Andre Wiegold.
I'm here with Patrick Lemarrier. It was so close. It was so close to grab your first pole award, right?
Yeah, I had many poles with a little bit for me, but today was not for me. It was not enough. I didn't really have the perfect lap, so it makes sense. But I'm pretty happy, very happy for the team, because they're making a lot of effort over here. It's a brand new team, and I'm very happy for this result anyway.
On the last lap, I saw Alan Day apologizing for something, for a situation, but or at least talking to you. What happened there?
Yeah, no. Was not quicker in his lap, so he lifted, but he lifted a little bit too early, so he was on my way. But I don't think I was quicker in the last lap anyway. But now he has me on his side, so revenge is for afternoon.
All right. Any plans for the race? Any special strategies now?
No, it's always a problem, to be in the middle of those guys fighting for the championship. So the best play for them is let me win, and and fight behind me. It'll be fine.
All right. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sounds like Patrick Lemarrier might be gently encouraging those around him to allow him to pass by without any excess drama. So that's very interesting indeed. He has a strong starting position there on the front row of the grid. Certainly one of his stronger starting positions of the year so far. But as we continue to await EuroNASCAR 2, it's important that I remind you as well of where we have been so far this year. Of course, we started at Valencia in the EuroNASCAR 2 season, as we did in EuroNASCAR Pro. Brands Hatch followed that. The summer was spent between Vallelunga and then Most in September. Of course, we're in Zolder earlier this month, and now we are here at Grobnik. A great calendar, as always, for the EuroNASCAR crews. Automotodrom is, of course, the leader in the rookie standings, as well as the main classification in EuroNASCAR 2. And as mentioned earlier on, Luli Del Castello has a fabulous lead within the Lady Trophy as well. So Luli Del Castello in that 54 car, the pink peril that she shares with Gianmarco Ercoli. That car has been well up there several times this year. She's 14th in the overall standings and leading the Lady Trophy. So we'd suggest that there are likely two main contenders in this championship this weekend in EuroNASCAR 2 in the forms of Automotodrom and Liam Hazemans. However, let's not forget Martin Dubeck, last year's EuroNASCAR 2 champion. He's 50 points back in third place. In fourth place is Ulis Del So. He's 51 back on 255 points. In fifth place is Vladimiros Siotzis, so keep an eye on him. Tuomas Pontonen, sixth place, 66 back. Certainly mathematically still within contention, although non-finishes would be required once you get further down the order. We mentioned this man, Gianmarco Ercoli, a few seconds ago, and as if by serendipity, Andre Wiegold has tracked him down.
You said last time at Zolder, you need 4 races, 4 race wins. 2 already in the books. Now you start behind Alain Day. What's your plan to win the race today?
Yeah, I'm doing a very good job in the qualifying. I don't use all car, so now I start third and all is open. So now it's important to start in the start zone. Immediately the fifth corner is a good point for overtake, and after the race is long, so it's important try to take the lead.
All right, thank you so much, and grazie mille, and have good luck later on.
Thank you, see you later.
There we go. I must say, if you don't do a good job in qualifying and you still end up third on the grid, something is going right. So let's see what Gianmarco Ercoli can do in the race later on. You see there some of the historic surroundings of this Automotodrom Grobnik circuit. Croatia, such a beautiful country in its own right. As you see there, those mountains in the back of shot. Really looks spectacular. I'd love to go hiking up those, but I'm not sure I'm brave enough to actually do so. And you saw there as well that we've got an airstrip nearby, so there's some flying going on as well as racing. And there really is an atmosphere to the Automotodrom Grobnik. It's one of the finest circuits in this region. Certainly it's one of the prides of Croatian motorsport. It was facelifted, and they put some investment into it just a few years ago, and really an edge of your seat experience in a fast car. 1 minute and 10 seconds then until this qualifying session begins, the EuroNASCAR 2 qualification session. We wait with bated breath for that in just a few moments. Hopefully we can get live timing up on that. Right now I'm struggling to find... no, I'm being an idiot. We're using my laps for the first time in the commentary box. It's one I'm unfamiliar with. I've sorted it out now, though. Christian Malczarek towards the sharp end then as they head out onto the circuit. He will lead them away in the 24 car that he's once again sharing with Alain Day. All is right in the world once again with Malczarek and Alain Day in the 24 car, which was not the case in Zolder. You see there everyone making their way out onto the circuit for this qualifying session. Countdown to green clock is ticking down to 0. We're about to go racing, or qualifying I should say, once again. And the green lights are out now. So then they head out onto the circuit. Christian Malczarek showing them the way as they get started for this qualifying session. No Super Pole to contend with in EuroNASCAR 2, so this is going to be a straight up dash for all of the qualifying positions today. A reminder of the key contenders to watch out for. Realistically, it feels as if this weekend is going to be a battle between Alberto Nasca and Liam Hazeman in the EuroNASCAR 2 Championship, so keep an eye on both competitors. Got 20 minutes to set a good time here in the EuroNASCAR 2 session. Of course, Hazeman has some very recent circuit experience. He was out there on the circuit, I don't know, about 10 minutes ago. He didn't just do qualifying, he made the Super Pole in the EuroNASCAR Pro. Of course, he hasn't done the full season in EuroNASCAR Pro. It was initially Tobias Downhauer at the wheel of the car in Valencia, the number 50 Hendrix Motorsport machine, but sadly Tobias pulled out with budgetary issues after Valencia. Liam Hazeman's taking the opportunity with both hands, with guidance from his father, Twan Hazemans, and has been lighting the world of EuroNASCAR alight. Of course, he jumped straight from karts into these stock cars, as alluded to by Twan Hazemans in the interview earlier on. It was his first ever car race at Valencia in EuroNASCAR 2, and he was already fighting for overall top 5 positions even then. So the Hazemans DNA once again proving to be formidable in the act of creating stellar racing car drivers, and he now is fighting for a championship. He's fighting for a championship along with Alberto Nasca, So we're looking out for cars 88 and 50 in terms of the championship order. But of course, anyone could end up on pole position today in regards to the Saturday race. And of course, fastest laps on Saturday will determine the grid on Sunday. So a busy day for the drivers here. There is Liam Hasemans. Wasted no time getting out on the circuit, wasting no time getting the car up to speed, of course. As alluded to, he's had time already on the circuit this morning, so he knows where he's going and what he's doing. And he presses on now in the 50 car. Car that has seen a slight change. At the start of the year, it was a Mustang and Toyota Camry. Of course, the engines and so on remain the same, but the bodywork has changed slightly over the duration of the season. Not expecting fast laps in the early stages of this session. We saw it in qualifying earlier on. It took a little while for everyone to stoke up their flames and get a quick lap in. Of course, Alberto Nasca also in his debut season of EuroNASCAR, but he has had plentiful experience at the wheel of race cars over in Italy. He competed in the Legends Championship out in Italy for a while. You can see the extent of his circuit experience on his YouTube channel, which I highly recommend tuning into. He's been documenting his EuroNASCAR season. He has been documenting everything he's ever really done on the race circuit, to the joy of an ever-growing audience on his YouTube channel. And it's been great to have his followers, his supporters, tuning in to EuroNASCAR 2 this season to cheer on their man, their personal pick, their favourite driver. And let's see whether they get to watch him secure a championship on a European level this weekend. Certainly, I know the celebrations in the live stream chat will be immense if the Italian stallion Alberto Nasca claims a championship this weekend. Benchmark right now has been set by Christian Maltrek. It's a 1:32.805. We know that we can expect upwards of 4 seconds more pace than that once everyone gets up to speed. We got a brief shot there of the 48 car. Of course, that would normally be Yevgen Sokolovsky in the Ukrainian colours. However, he is now in the Motorsport Games out at Paul Ricard. Therefore, it is Hugo Sassa, a very talented teenager, in the 48 car for this session. We'll see what Sassa can do. He's been in the top 10 in free practice, so he's been a little more competitive relative to the EuroNASCAR 2 field than Mike David Ortman has been in the EuroNASCAR Pro. So let's see what the other half of the ADAC GT4 champions can do. Oh, and a big off in the back of shot there. A car off circuit at the back of shot. It looked to me to be one of the Speedhouse cars potentially, but someone off the track in a big way. Oh, it's Sassa. Oh, Hugo Sassa for Marco Stipp Motorsport has careened into the wall, and that car is looking very second-hand. Well, we were just talking him up and discussing how talented he is. And unfortunately, the red flags wave now for Hugo Sassa. You can see him moving in cockpit, which is a good sign, but that was a big off at a certain part of the circuit where you really don't want to be going off. And unsurprisingly, the red flags were pretty much immediately scrambled there. That was a nasty off there. I'm sure that not everyone necessarily saw that, given the fact it was in the right at the back of shot, but it was a hefty collision. Of course, we consider whether or not that car can be repaired later on. For now, what we care about is making sure that Hugo Sassa is all right after that coming together with the barriers. Hugo thankfully, is out of the car and standing on his own 2 feet. So that is the best news we can hope for. You can see that he is disappointed. Certainly we're expecting great things from Hugo this weekend. He's been in the top 10 in the free practice sessions, but unfortunately he has not helped his case there with the off. That was coming out of what I believe is turn 8 on the circuit, so you go through quite a fast S-bend and then really open up the taps toward 9 and 10. And once you head off the circuit there, chances are you're finding a barrier, and that's exactly what happened to Hugo Sassa. Now, we saw the front suspension was damaged. Front suspension was damaged on that car. The real question is going to be how the chassis itself has held up to that. A collision at that speed, my instinct is that it could be a weekend ender for the Marco Stipp Motorsport 48 entry. But we have seen the teams put in a mighty shift before to secure results and secure the car back onto the circuit. I'm not convinced, at the very least, that this car will be back out today, but perhaps they will work through the night to get it out on Sunday for Ortmann and Sassa. We'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, I'm sure Yevgen Sokolovsky, as invested as he is, has been watching on to see how his car is doing, and unfortunately his car is currently rather second-hand. Of course, the other factor here regarding the red flag is not just car recovery, but potentially also barrier damage. 1,200 kilo stock car piling into a barrier can often cause a little bit of damage. You see the clock frozen at 14 minutes and 34 seconds. So we can hope that the session gets underway promptly and we can see that full time. So a huge shame for Sassa. As mentioned, it is his first weekend in a manual gearboxed racing car, so he has been on a steep learning curve this weekend. But Christian Maltarek had just set the fastest time of the session so far, and it was a 1:30.841. Certainly we hadn't seen the best out of anybody yet. Everyone was just warming themselves up, and now we've got this delay. We'll say my thanks to our media team, we've actually got one of the cameramen taking some photos of the 48 car, and I'm just taking a look at this off screen, of course, and I would say that car may have driven for the last time this weekend personally, but I've been proven wrong before. EuroNASCAR teams are diligent. Of course, the big question, the big hope, is that there isn't too much in the way of barrier damage and this session doesn't have to be prolonged or paused for too long. Just getting a shot of the barriers at the moment, and well, unfortunately there is. It was the tyre wall that absorbed the impact from Hugo Sassa, but nonetheless I think the Armco has taken a slight hit and had a slight buckle to it as well. So the teams are going to have to, or the team down here at Automotodrom Grobnik are going to have to work hard now to get the circuit back up to racing conditions. So it will be a pause for the foreseeable, I believe. To wait and see quite how long it's going to be before we get this qualifying session back underway. No one really among the sharp end had set a quick time. Liam Hazeman's incidentally currently second fastest in the session, but his time of 1:33.4, and he was well into the 1:29s in Superpole, so no representative times really set right now. Hopefully, in the not-too-distant future, we can get this session back underway. Let's tell you a little bit about this circuit then. It's been around for 45 years, or at least ground was broken some 45 years ago in 1977, opened in 1978. Among other things that it currently hosts, of course, the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, one of the banner weekends of the year. They also still host the Sidecar World Championship, so a venue that has held Grand Prix motorcycle racing in the past. It still hosts the World Championship for sidecars, has been a staple of that calendar since 2005, albeit with a pause in 2020 owing to the pandemic. But that has been a popular venue among sidecar competitors for decades now. The TCR Eastern Europe Championship also runs here at Grobnik. Of course, we mentioned Grand Prix motorcycle racing. What is now MotoGP, of course, wasn't called MotoGP at the time, but the Yugoslavian Motorcycle Grand Prix was held here between 1978 and 1990. So it's a circuit it's a circuit where we've seen some spectacular cars race over the years. I believe the Inter-Serie category used to compete here at one time. I know that one of the lap records is held by Joseph Neuhauser in a Minardi, a 1990 Minardi Formula One car, and he competed in Inter-Serie in 2000 and secured a 1:16.388, so a little bit quicker than we're going today. The lap record in EuroNASCAR is a 1:28.508, and no prizes for guessing who owns that. Alan Day with the fastest ever time around this circuit in our machines. Incidentally, that time quicker than what we have seen out of a 500cc motorcycle. However, I can stop talking about inane history and go down to Andre Viegold.
Yeah, I think we take the time we have in the red flag at the moment. I'm here with Max Lanza, driver of the 88 in the EuroNASCAR Pro. How was your qualifying?
Not very good. I'm disappointed because I have the fear of a flat spot in the new tire, and it will be compromise the weekend and the race. So I don't force it in the quali, and I think I will start 21. But I think in a race, during the race, I can recover some position.
A lot of fans in the chat right now are a little bit worried about the 88 car because Alberto did not set a decent lap at the moment. But from your feeling, the car, the 88 car, is it fine?
Yeah. The car is very good. My feeling was good, but I don't force it.
Okay. So perfectly. So we have an understanding what's happening in the 88 car. Grazie mille, Max Lanza.
Grazie.
Grazie.
There you go, important news there for fans of Alberto NASCAR. The 88 car is fundamentally A-OK. Just to say, Alan Day's fastest time here at the circuit back in 2020, a 1:28.508. Among other things, like I said, quicker than a 500cc motorcycle in the hands of Wayne Rainey back in 1990. Also quicker than the fastest time a TCR car has ever set around this circuit by about 2 seconds. Of course, there is a power advantage with the EuroNASCAR, 400 horsepower versus somewhere in the low 300s for the TCRs. I've heard 340, but I think sometimes that's a bit ambitious. As we see the wreckage, unfortunately, of the 48 car being brought back into the paddock, and I'm sure Hugo Sassa hanging his head and feeling rather guilty that he's going to have to put the team through a lot of repairs if they try and repair it here. Of course, no championship points on the line for Sassa and Ortmann, so whether or not this is the end of their weekend, I'm not too sure. An interesting little, shall we say, loop of history that I do want to flag as a bit of a geek. Riccardo Tormo has raced here in World Championship motorcycle competition on the 50cc bikes. Well back in the day, I believe the last year for 50cc bikes was somewhere around 83 or 84. Riccardo Tormo, who of course has the circuit Riccardo Tormo named after him. That's the circuit where we started the year in Valencia. He has raced here at Grobnik in years gone by. He actually holds the 50cc lap record around here in 1983. So the late Riccardo Tormo, quite the motorcycle racing legend. He has raced here, which is a nice little history tie. We saw there the Stop War banner there on the Ukraine coloured car that would normally be driven by Yevgen Sokolovsky, the 48 car. A truly great story. As much as we miss Yevgen Sokolovsky this weekend, a regular in the paddock, a bright face in the paddock, someone who's always great to talk to, it's really special to see that Yevgen Sokolovsky is currently at the Motorsport Games, the FIA Motorsport Games, along with Ivan Peklin, representing Ukraine and flying the Ukraine flag high on the world stage. That really is special. Of course, well wishes to Ukraine, and we hope that everything's going well for Yevgen over in a GT3 car, no less, at Paul Ricard. And you can rest assured that, as with his EuroNASCAR, his Aston Martin GT3 machine is very, very patriotically coloured. I understand, while we wait for this red flag to cease, we can go potentially to some clips from the EuroNASCAR 2 season so far. No worries. And here we go now. Excellent. So we will take a look at what has gone on previously in this season. To say it gently, a lot has happened already this year. We mentioned the circuit Riccardo Tormo. That's where we started, and that's where Vladimiros Tsiotsis claimed his first win of the year. Of course, Alberto Nasca following in his footsteps on the Sunday. At Brands Hatch, it was a really special weekend of racing. Nasca claiming his second win of the year in race one, and then in overtime, Liam Hazeman's making up 2 places to secure his first win of the year. Would not be his last. Nasca on home turf at Vallelunga at the American Festival of Rome. He secured a win, as did Liam Hazeman's. It was becoming somewhat clear that we had our championship favourites. However, it was a dreadful weekend in the Czech Republic at Most for Liam Hazeman's. Great weekend, though, for Nasca. He claimed wins on 2 occasions, a double win for Nasca, while Liam Hazeman's didn't even finish one of the races. However, the bad luck bug would eventually strike Alberto Nasca, and it was Liam Hazeman's who would capitalise with 2 wins in the Zolder weekend, and so he draws himself just 13 points back now from the Italian racer Alberto Nasca. So Liam Hazeman still very much in the championship. And Nasca, you see there on 302 points. Liam Hazeman's 13 back, as we mentioned. Martin Dubek, he's a little way off. Now it's going to take misfortune for Nasca and Hazeman's, I believe, to see him down, or to see him win the championship for a second year consecutively. Good to see the points classes within the trophies as well. Melvin de Groot comfortably leading Legend Trophy, I believe. Lily Del Castello, we know for a fact, is very comfortably leading the Lady Trophy. And of course, Hazeman's and Nasca are fighting for both the trophy and the overall standings right now. Meanwhile, you know what? Sometimes the international language of body is the best language of all. We didn't need the English translation on that, did we? I think a few of the Marco Stipp team are going to be laying it into Sasa and Ortmann, more specifically Sasa, for giving them some work. I'm still curious to see whether that car will be back out. I hope it will, but I don't necessarily have that much faith. So then, red flag still ongoing. I can tell you that the crews down at turn 8 are still working very hard indeed to repair the circuit effectively. The circuit, of course, taking a bit of a hit as a result of that collision with the Armco barriers that was triggered by Hugo Sasa. Incidentally, the beginning of this circuit, we mentioned, of course, that it was constructed in 1977 for a debut in 1978. The reason it was built in the first place was to replace the Prelux circuit, or perhaps the Opatija circuit, depending on who you ask. The street circuit that was named as the Monaco of Grand Prix motorcycle racing in the 60s and 70s. That circuit was quite a fearsome track, it must be said. Ran between 1931 and 1977, and it was the building of this circuit that eventually ended its tenure as a racing facility. It was a rather dangerous circuit, particularly for motorcycle racing, and eventually Croatia built this wonderful circuit, the Automotodrom Grobnik, as something of a replacement. Although, if you are into your history, the Opatija circuit does still occasionally run as a rally stage. So Croatian motorsport history still alive and well at Opatija, a wonderful Adriatic Sea coastline circuit, and one that's well worth a look on Google Maps after this session if you fancy taking a look at the circuit. So then, the clock is officially ticking again. I believe we are going to see these cars out onto the circuit in a few moments, although I think that clock on the start-finish line might be reset again because we aren't rolling just yet. But you've seen that the cars are heading back down towards the green lights, or the red lights as they are now. They'll be green in the not-too-distant future. All good signs then. We are about to go racing once again, or qualifying once again. Of course, it is still Christian Mautrek at the top. And now the cars head out onto circuit. Christian Mautrek then in the 24 car, 4PK car sport, has once again found himself at the head of the queue as he was at the start of the session. The green flag has waved and the session has resumed once again here then. And for Alberto Nasca, who we briefly saw there on the points graphic, he is now going to want to get a quick time in as quickly as possible, because he did not get a time in, as most of the field, frankly, did not get a time in before that red flag. So for his championship campaign, it's imperative that he gets a good grid slot. And of course, that's particularly the case if Liam Hazeman's remains where he is. Again, representative times have not been set yet, but Liam Hazeman's fastest time right now, a 1:33.447, and that is more than good enough. Well, the time is not more than good enough, but second on the grid would be more than good enough for Liam Hazeman's. I say the time is not more than good enough. We mentioned that mid-1:28 for the lap records around here in EuroNASCAR. And not only that, of course, but we've seen 28 so far this weekend, both in free practice and in qualifying. So we know that a competitive time is well under a 1:30. And no one has got under a 1:30 in the first stanza of this session. The red flag has been lifted. The cars are back on the circuit though, and with 12.5 minutes plus a little bit more left on the clock, the number 5 car, Vladimiros Tsiotsis, among those who are now pushing from the get-go to set some quick times. Of course, I think drivers are a superstitious breed, and they're now thinking to themselves, well, I spent, what, 6 or 7 minutes building the temperature in my tyres, getting ready to go, and then suddenly the session was red flagged. So I'm going to get a quick lap in right now to make sure that it doesn't happen again. There is AutoNASCAR then in the 88 car, just running past there the section of the circuit. We've caught out Hugo Sasser, the 88 machine of AutoNASCAR, of course prepared by Cal Racing. I've been delighted with the performances from their superstar this season in his rookie year in EuroNASCAR 2. I heard that AutoNASCAR was going to be in the category this year well before the season started. I was aware of him from YouTube. I thought to myself, that's interesting. And then we started to get word through some of the media personnel in EuroNASCAR that, hey, this guy's looking quick in testing. But I don't think any of us quite appreciated how quick he was until we arrived at Valencia, and he was immediately up the sharp end, immediately sliding the car. Even in qualifying, he seemed incredibly confident in the balance of the stock cars, and it has been great to see him as a championship contender this year, and great to see him having a positive effect on the audiences here in EuroNASCAR. Certainly we've had a great season in terms of viewership, and lots of supporters of AutoNASCAR finding a new favourite series in the form of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. A great way to show just how great this category is. The 69 car then of Melvin de Groot, that is our leader in the Legend Trophy. Of course, racing for Team Blekemolen, joined by Mikael Blekemolen in this session. As if de Groot is on a fairly quick lap right now. His best time a 1:33.594. Again, not representative, but let's see if this time puts him any closer to a good lap, a lap that shows his true pace. Just realised I had to refresh my timing tab to actually get the green flag times back up. So. My apologies for being a bit out of date there, but my screen was still showing me red flag times. De Groot then, 5th fastest on a 1:30.376 that he just scored across the line. Let's running through the top 10 as it stands, although I imagine since it's ever evolving it's going to be out of date immediately. It is Martin Dubek, fastest of all, on a immediately changed. I said it was going to happen. Vladimiros Tsiotsis has just set a 1:28.843 in the number 5 car that he shares with Patrick Lemarie. Vladimiros Tsiotsis then has just absolutely smashed the benchmark. A 1:28.8 is one of the quickest times we've seen all weekend. Goodness me. So the Cypriot driver with a great benchmark there, Martin Dubek, is a second back on a 1:29.882 in second place. Where are our two championship contenders? Well, AutoNASCAR currently 12th, 13th make that in the standings on a 1:31.361. Liam Hazeman's down in 10th on a 1:30.993, although I know we could expect better from both parties. So Tsiotsis at the top from Dubek, Capelli, Leonardo Colavita, who just crossed the line for a 1:30.222, Christian Malcharek in 5th place, and Thomas Pontonen in P6. There is Dubek then, last year's EuroNASCAR 2 champion. Again, he's 50 points back from the championship lead, and with the scoring system here in EuroNASCAR, it's going to be very difficult for him to secure the championship here. Of course, a 10-point gap in points between first and second place in the double point season finale. It's 80 points for a win, 70 points for second place, but then it goes down in increments of 2 from there. Therefore, you could finish 11th or 12th place and still get a decent haul of points. So I think that both NASCAR and Hasemans are frankly going to have to retire from races in order for Dubek to be a contender. And funny enough, they found each other out on the circuit. Not only that, but they found pace as well. Liam Hasemans has just scored a 1:29.251. Alberto NASCAR a 1:29.768. They're now second and third on my timing screen behind Vladimiros Siortis, and they're running line astern on the circuit. A preview of what's to come, I suspect, this weekend between Hasemans and NASCAR right now. We saw Hasemans kind of taking the tow, taking the slipstream in the EuroNASCAR Pro qualifying as well. Seems to be gone with that strategy again, EuroNASCAR 2. He is half a second quicker right now than NASCAR on the timing screens though, so I'm not sure Hasemans is potentially having the best tow right now. Let's see though what their times are across the line this time by. Certainly Liam Hasemans has had every bit of tow available to him as they come across the line there. And do their times improve? The answer is yes in the case of NASCAR, a 1:29.561. He remains third. Liam Hasemans did not improve. NASCAR lifting out of the throttle there. Does he believe a 1:29.561 is his peak? Because certainly starting off the front row, less than ideal for NASCAR. He's usually just as strong in qualifying as he is in the race, but that was not the best of times. Maybe more so than thinking he's done as good as he can. I think potentially he doesn't want to tow Liam Hasemans around the circuit anymore. I think that's probably the reality of the situation. Vladimiros Siortis is still circulating, incidentally. His last lap across the line was a 1:29.082, which of course is off his pole time, or original pole time of a 1:28.843, but it would still be good enough to be quicker than anyone else in the session. So clearly Vladimiros Siortis is not just quick around here, but he's consistent, and that is a warning sign if I've ever seen one for the rest of the field. Change further down the order. Claudio Remeggio Capelli has moved up to 5th place. Melvin de Groot in 6th, which has demoted Leonardo Colavito down to 7th fastest. Christian Maltrek expected across the line briefly. Let's see if he improves. He's not in that pack of cars, but he did just cross the line. His time of 1:32, so I think he lifted out of that lap at least a little bit. Let's see though what Liam Hasemans and Martin Dubek can do. They're running in tandem around the circuit. Dubek 4th fastest right now, Hasemans 2nd fastest, NASCAR just behind them as well. So a lot of the quick drivers on the same piece of tarmac right now. They're being followed as well by Gil Linster, who himself has proven to be formidable at times this year. So a lot of fast drivers have come together on the circuit. They're running in a convoy. Let's see who's quickest around Grobnik. Dubek studying the lines of Hasemans, I'm sure, but they've come under some traffic there. I believe that's the 72. In fact, no, it's the 14 car. Oh, and that's going to compromise Hasemans' time, unfortunately. The 14 car just on the apex there. Of course, that's driven in this session by Ariana Casoli. She's certainly entitled to be there. I don't think it was anything that would be considered blocking, but unfortunately Hasemans just came across Casoli at the wrong time, and that's compromised several lap times. And so, with less than 4 minutes of this session to go, opportunities are becoming scarce. Martin Dubek and Liam Hasemans, interestingly, both into pit lane. So maybe they both feel they've done all they can. And they both look like they're on quick laps. They both got tripped up by Ariana Casoli. And now it seems that they're taking an early bath, and that is compelling to say the least, because Alberto NASCAR, and indeed the man behind him, Gil Linster, are still pushing to the absolute limit. Siortis is still out there, comfortably setting 1:29.0s as well, so again, another lap that he's just set that would secure him pole position if he didn't already have a 1:28.843. Siortsis at this point is frankly just touting his own powers. Gil Linster running slightly wide there on the exit of turn 8. We've already seen that that corner can bite. Alberto Nasca hooking the car up nicely there through turn 10. Such a sweeping circuit this. And a true challenge for our drivers. Just across the line there is the 33 car. That is Paul Dufresne down in 18th place. So Dufresne, not necessarily where we'd expect him to be actually. He's often a factor towards the top, well not the top end of the order, but certainly within the top 10. 36 car, of course, we saw that earlier on in the hands of Vittorio Garelli. So we've got Kastratrovic at the wheel. NASCAR has just crossed the line, and his time was not an improvement, unfortunately, a 1:29.902. We're wondering if the best was yet to come out of Alberto Nasca. I don't think he has got much more in reserve. He's going for another fast lap. Let's see if Nasca can improve this time, but on his last lap was just under 4/10 slower than his best effort so far, a 1:29.561. It's worth bearing in mind that third place on the grid is still A-OK for Nasca, but you know for a fact that he will want to be ahead of Liam Hasemans from the get-go. We've seen that both Hasemans and Nasca can be aggressive when they need to be. They're both completely docile off the circuit. Hasemans a very cheery youngster, and Alberto Nasca very amenable, very talkative and easygoing. But once they go onto the circuit, suddenly the helmet goes down and the chip on the shoulder firmly grows. They're both very aggressive on the circuit, and then I imagine we're going to get some fireworks across the two races, especially if they start near each other, and that's exactly the prospect we've got right now, with Hasemans second and Nasca third. But can Nasca get himself up onto the front row? Can he get anywhere near the time of Vladimiros Siortsis? He comes past the pit lane entry now with 45 seconds left on the clock. What kind of time does Alberto Nasca set? 1:30.930, so again the time just not there for Nasca right now. 35 seconds left on the clock, so should he want to do it, he's got one more flying lap in at the back pocket. I believe we just saw Siortsis into pit lane there, so he's not going any further in this session. You rather get the feeling that he has done everything he can. Of course, Liam Hasemans is in the pit lane as well. We saw him head in with Martin Dubek. There is Siortsis into the pit lane as suspected. Provisional pole, and you have to suspect that it's going to be difficult for anyone else to get near him. Let's see if anyone can. Martin Dubek has returned to the circuit, and he will get one last flying lap, although it doesn't look like he was pushing particularly there, so I'm not sure he's getting a flying lap per se. Dubek with the 1:29.602 that he actually just set, so he immediately went back out onto the circuit, and he has moved himself up to 4th place, but I don't think any more pace is forthcoming for him. NASCAR has not taken the checkered flag yet. Not sure what kind of time he is on. I know that he's somewhere towards the back end of the track though. Just keeping an eye on NASCAR. I think he may have gone into pit lane that time by. I think he has conceded that no further time was coming for him. The checkered flag is waving and the final times are starting to come in. Saw Miguel Gomez across the line in the 46 car. He nets himself 15th place, one of the Speedhouse cars across the line now. I think that might be Ariana Casoli. As she round out her session, she finishes down in 25th. Lily Del Castello with a positive session. She's qualified 16th, at least provisionally. There are still a few drivers behind setting fast laps, but it looks as though she's got 16th in the bag. And that again makes her the fastest of the Lady Trophy drivers. Vladimiros Siortsis then with a massive lap time, the only driver to get below a 129 in that session with a 128.843, and he has done enough to secure himself pole position in this one. A good run for the Alex Cappy Academy team. Of course, we saw Le Marie secure a good starting position for the team in EuroNASCAR Pro, a second fastest time, so he'll be on the front row alongside Alan Day. And now we've got a pole position for Vladimiros Tsiotsis, who again unfortunately doesn't look like he's going to be a championship contender unless misfortunes befall those ahead of him, but yet another display of why the Cypriot driver is one of the best here in the EuroNASCAR paddock. I say EuroNASCAR paddock, I very much include EuroNASCAR Pro in that. Tsiotsis has been phenomenal all year long. Again, the fortune hasn't always been in his favour this year for Tsiotsis, but nonetheless, he is incredible, and he's going to look to end his season on a high. Doing so from pole position is certainly a possibility. I believe that before the end of this broadcast we are going to get an interview with Tsiotsis, so long as Andre Viegold can chase him down and grab him by the collar. Of course, we heard from Vladimiros just a few moments ago at the very start of the broadcast, and would you know it, as soon as I mention it, Andre has indeed tracked him down, now resplendent with the pole award.
Thank you so much, Adam. Yeah, I have the pleasure to always give the drivers the pole award, and this one goes to Vladimiros Tsiotsis. Amazing lap.
Yeah, we showed it from the beginning of the weekend. So as I said before, keep consistency now, all the eyes to the races. The most important thing, double points. We are fast, we have to keep it, and we will achieve our goal.
You said our goal. What is your personal goal at the end of this weekend? Where do you want to end up in the championship battle?
Of course first, but okay, it's of course it's difficult, but you know, in motorsport can everything happen, so we just keeping focusing, and our aim is to open the gap, to finish first, and then yes, the results will bring us in the final place.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So then, Vladimiros Tsiotsis not at all ruling himself out of championship contention. It's going to rely on Heijmans and NASCAR to have dramas, and dramas they may well have, because they start second and third on the grid in EuroNASCAR 2, just behind our pole sitter Vladimiros Tsiotsis. It's going to be an exciting weekend of racing. There's lots more to come. Let's take a look at the schedule for the rest of the weekend. We've got 4 races yet to come. Our qualifying for the weekend is done, so we don't have to worry about any more qualifying. However, we have just caught Liam Heijmans, so let's hear from him before we sign off.
Yes, and we still have also AutoNASCAR. So first of all, Liam Heijmans, the championship battle is on. What do you think about that qualifying?
Yeah, no, it was perfect qualifying. Thanks to Alberto for the slipstream, it was really well. And no, but I have to say, it's going to be very interesting. You know, I mean, with Vladdy in first, he's really fast, so yeah, it's going to be a very interesting battle. I mean, with Alberto third, me second, it's going to be a tough one. So we're going to see how it goes in the race.
All right, thank you, well, thank you so much. And I think we stay here with AutoNASCAR coming next. Yeah, same question to you as to Liam Heijmans. What do you think about the qualifying?
We're struggling this weekend. I mean, I didn't find the right feeling with the setup, so this is not the right track for our setup. Okay, with those very fast corners, we're struggling with the front, massive understeer. So yeah, I still didn't figure out how to manage it, because for example, Ercoli has the same setup as me, so he has more experience, so he found out how to drive the car in that condition. But yeah, it's going to be a nice battle. Siortis is flying, I don't know how. I mean, after that injury, he's Superman, so probably have to break my arm too before the next race. I will take, yeah, I will learn from him. Edsemans were very good in taking my slipstream. I was talking via radio with the engineer, and I said, okay, he told me lift, so Edsemans will lift as well. Yeah, so I had, okay, what do we do? Do we stop here and wait the finish of the session? No, so I said, okay, let's push and let's see what happens. Unfortunately, the pressures went too high. I couldn't improve. The car wasn't drivable with those pressures, so yeah. The race is done, I think. We're better in the race.
All right. Grazie mille, thank you so much, and good luck later.
Thank you, bye.
Point raised, it must be said, by Alberto Nasca. Siortis picked up an arm injury at Zolder, and quite right, I'd say, from Alberto Nasca. What a Superman performance from Vladimir Siortis to be pole positioned by that much, having just recently sustained an injury. Liam Haseman second and Alberto Nasca third on the grid then. Interesting to hear that Nasca has some gripes with the tyre pressures. He will be working hard to move his way up the order come race time. As mentioned, we've got 4 races yet to come in this weekend, and it's going to be a season-deciding weekend. Double points on the line. Championships to be decided today and tomorrow, though we expect both championships to go into the Sunday race. Tune in at 12:45 Central European Time, 6:45 EDT, 11:45 English time for EuroNASCAR Pro, their first race of the weekend. And then at 4:10 Central European, we have EuroNASCAR 2 out for their Saturday race. 2 races to come on Sunday as well at 10:10 Central European time rather than Central European summer time, because of course the clocks change tonight. So make sure you're cognizant of that. And then at 13:45, the EuroNASCAR Pro season decider will take place. So there are 2 championships on the line. There are 4 races to come in the world of EuroNASCAR. The NASCAR Whelen Euro Series back in Croatia. Qualifying has been compelling. Make sure you join us for the races later today and on Sunday, because the best is yet to come.